Welcome to my channel, a vlog that brings your story about the love of a mafia boss. Now let's listen.
The champagne flute slipped from my fingers in slow motion, crystal shattering against marble like my last shred of dignity. 1,000 eyes turned toward me, or maybe it just felt that way. The amber liquid spread across the pristine white floor of the Valencia Grand Hotel ballroom, seeping into the grout lines like poison into veins. Jesus Christ, Emma. Marcus's voice cut through the string quartet's melody, sharp enough to draw blood. Can't you do anything right? My cheeks burned. The black waitress uniform suddenly felt too tight, too cheap, too obvious against the sea of designer gowns surrounding me. I dropped to my knees, my hands shaking as I tried to gather the glass shards, each piece reflecting a fragment of my humiliation back at me. I'm sorry, The words died in my throat. What was the point? You're always sorry. Marcus loomed above me, his tuxedo immaculate, his cologne, the one I'd saved 3 months to buy him, now suffocating. Sorry doesn't pay rent. Sorry doesn't fix your pathetic life. 3 years. 3 years I'd loved this man. Worked double shifts to support his business ventures. Ignored the lipstick stains and late-night excuses. 3 years, and here I was, serving champagne at his engagement party to someone else. Maybe if you'd been half the woman Veronica is... He grabbed my elbow, yanking me to my feet. His fingers dug into my skin hard enough to bruise. Around us, conversations had resumed, but I caught the sideways glances, the pitying smiles. They were all his friends, his colleagues, his world. I was just the help, the mistake he'd outgrown. Marcus, people are watching, I whispered, hating how my voice trembled. Let them watch. He pulled me closer, and I smelled whiskey on his breath. You need to understand something, Emma. I don't love you. I never loved you. You were convenient. And now you're not even that. The words hit like physical blows. My vision blurred, though I refused to let the tears fall. Not here. Not in front of these people who already looked at me like I was worth less than the champagne I'd spilled. Please. Please what? His laugh was cruel. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing me. Just do your job and stay out of sight. That's what you're good at, isn't it? Being invisible. He released me with enough force that I stumbled backward, my hip colliding with the service cart. More glasses rattled, threatening to fall. I caught them just in time, my whole body shaking now. The quartet had moved into something soft and romantic. Veronica glided across the floor in Marcus's arms moments later, her diamond ring, the one that should have been mine, catching the chandelier light like a tiny sun. I needed air. The ballroom walls pressed in, suffocating me with their gold leaf and crystal opulence. My supervisor, Mrs. Chen, shot me a warning glare from across the room. But I didn't care anymore. Let them fire me. Let this whole nightmare end. The service corridor was blessedly empty, fluorescent lights humming overhead in a tone that matched the ringing in my ears. I leaned against the cold wall, pressing my palms flat against it, trying to ground myself. The concrete felt real, solid, unlike everything else in my life that seemed to be disintegrating. Breathe, I whispered to myself. Just breathe. But breathing hurt. Everything hurt. I'd been so stupid, believing his promises, his I love yous whispered in the dark. His assurances that once his business took off, we'd get married, have the life I'd dreamed of. Instead, I'd worked myself to exhaustion, paid his debts, covered his rent when his deals fell through. And all the while, he'd been with her, planning a future that didn't include me. The door at the end of the corridor opened, and I quickly wiped my eyes, straightening my uniform. Probably Mrs. Chen coming to yell at me for abandoning my post. But the footsteps that echoed down the hallway were wrong, too heavy, too measured, accompanied by the subtle rustle of expensive fabric. I turned and froze. He moved through the corridor like he owned it, like he owned everything. Tall, perhaps 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that belonged in Renaissance paintings. Sharp jaw, full lips, and eyes so dark they looked black in the fluorescent lighting. But it wasn't just his looks that stopped my breath. It was the way he carried himself. Dangerous, deliberate, like a predator who'd never known fear. His suit was black, perfectly tailored, probably worth more than I made in 6 months. A thin platinum watch caught the light as he raised a phone to his ear, speaking in rapid Italian, low, controlled, edged with authority that made my spine straighten involuntarily. 2 men flanked him, both built like brick walls, their eyes constantly scanning the corridor. Security. Not the hotel's rent-a-cops, but real protection. The kind that suggested whoever this man was, he needed guarding. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to become invisible. That thing Marcus said I was so good at. Maybe if I stayed still enough, they'd pass without noticing me. The man ended his call, sliding the phone into his pocket with a fluid motion. Then his eyes found mine. Everything stopped. I'd read about moments like this in books, dismissed them as fiction. But there was no other way to describe it. The air itself seemed to thicken, to crackle with something electric and terrifying. His gaze held mine, unwavering, and I couldn't look away, even though every instinct screamed at me to run. He was beautiful in the way storms are beautiful, devastating and impossible to ignore. "Are you hurt?" His voice was deep, accented, Italian, like his phone conversation, but with something underneath. British boarding school, maybe. The combination was intoxicating. What? My voice came out barely above a whisper. He moved closer, and I caught his scent. Sandalwood and something darker, more complex. Smoke and spice and danger. One of his guards shifted, hand moving toward his jacket, but the man raised a finger slightly, and the guard stilled. "Your arm." He gestured toward my elbow, where Marcus's fingers had left red marks already darkening to purple. "Someone hurt you." "No, It's nothing. Just, I wrapped my hand around the bruises, hiding them. An accident." His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Accidents don't leave fingerprints. How had he seen that in the split second he'd glanced at me? And why did he care? People like him, powerful, wealthy, dangerous, didn't notice people like me. We existed in different universes that should never collide. "It's really nothing, sir. I should get back to work." I moved to step past him, but he shifted slightly, blocking my path without actually touching me. The corridor suddenly felt very small. "What's your name?" "Emma." The answer came automatically before I could think better of it. "Emma." He repeated it slowly, like he was tasting each syllable. "You work here?" "Just for tonight. I'm with the catering company." Why was I telling him this? Why couldn't I move? His presence was magnetic, pulling me in even as my brain screamed warnings. He studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he reached into his jacket, his guard tensed again, and pulled out a business card, holding it out between 2 fingers. "If you need anything, Emma, call this number." I stared at the card, heavy cream cardstock with embossed lettering. No name, just a phone number in elegant script. "I don't understand." "You will." He turned to leave, his guards falling into step behind him, moving like a well-oiled machine toward the ballroom entrance. I looked down at the card in my trembling fingers, then back up. He'd paused at the door, glancing back at me over his shoulder. In the harsh fluorescent light, his eyes weren't black at all. They were the deepest brown I'd ever seen, flecked with gold that caught the light like embers. "And Emma?" His voice carried down the corridor, soft but somehow filling the entire space. "Men who leave marks like that deserve to have marks left on them. Remember that." Then he was gone, the door swinging shut behind him with a soft click that somehow sounded like a promise or a threat. I stood frozen in the empty corridor, the business card burning in my hand like a live coal. My heart hammered against my ribs, adrenaline and something else, something I couldn't name, flooding my system. From the ballroom, I heard a commotion. Raised voices. Then Marcus's laugh, loud and nervous. My supervisor burst through the door, her face flushed. "Emma, get in here, now!" "Mr. Castellano wants..." She stopped, eyes widening as she looked at me. "What happened to you?" "Nothing, Never mind. Come on. Mr. Castellano has requested additional servers at his table, and you're the only one available who fits the..." She grabbed my wrist, dragging me toward the ballroom before I could protest. "Who's Mr. Castellano?" I asked. But she was already pushing me through the door. The ballroom seemed different now, the air charged with tension I hadn't noticed before. Guests clustered in small groups, whispering behind champagne flutes. The string quartet had stopped playing. And there, at the center table, the place of honor reserved for the venue's most important guest, sat the man from the corridor. His guard stood behind him, stoic and alert. Beside him sat an older gentleman in an expensive suit, leaning in to whisper something. But the man, Mr. Castellano, wasn't listening. His eyes were fixed across the room, on Marcus, who had gone very, very pale. "Emma, go." Mrs. Chen pushed me forward with a tray of champagne. "Table 7. Don't spill anything. Don't speak unless spoken to. And for God's sake, don't make eye contact." But it was too late for that. As I crossed the ballroom floor, my legs unsteady, my mind racing, I felt his gaze follow me, heavy, possessive, like he was cataloging every breath I took, every step I made. I reached Marcus's table, my hands shaking so badly the glasses rattled. Veronica looked up at me with undisguised disdain, her perfectly manicured hand resting on Marcus's arm proprietarily. "Finally," she said, "we've been waiting forever." I started to distribute the champagne, keeping my eyes down, trying to ignore Marcus's presence, trying to forget his words. "I don't love you. I never loved you. Emma." Marcus's voice was strange now, tight, afraid. "What did you say to him?" "What?" I looked up, confused. "Castellano? What did you tell him?" I don't even know who." "Don't lie to me." He grabbed my wrist, and I dropped the tray. It hit the table edge, champagne flooding across the white tablecloth like blood. "Not again. Not again." Veronica shrieked, jumping up as the liquid poured into her lap. Guests turned, staring. Mrs. Chen started toward us, her face murderous. But someone else moved faster. The temperature in the room plummeted. Conversations died. Even the air seemed to still. Mr. Castellano stood, his chair scraping against marble with a sound like a blade being drawn. His guards moved with him, hands inside their jackets now, eyes locked on Marcus. He crossed the ballroom floor in a few long strides, and the crowd parted before him like the Red Sea. No one spoke. No one moved. They just watched, and I saw fear in their faces. Real fear. He stopped at our table, and Marcus's hand fell away from my wrist like I'd burned him. "Mr. Castellano, sir, Marcus's voice cracked. "This is just a misunderstanding. Emma, she's nothing, nobody. Just stand up." 2 words. Quiet, controlled, absolutely terrifying. Marcus stood so fast his chair fell backward. Mr. Castellano looked at him the way someone might look at something they'd scraped off their shoe. Then his gaze shifted to me, and everything changed. His expression softened almost imperceptibly, though danger still radiated from him in waves. "Are you finished with this?" He gestured vaguely at Marcus, at the table, at the whole miserable scene. I didn't understand the question. With him. His eyes held mine, and I felt pinned, dissected, seen in a way that was both exhilarating and terrifying. "Are you finished?" Marcus made a strangled sound. "Now wait, I wasn't speaking to you." Mr. Castellano didn't even look at him. "Emma, answer the question." The ballroom was silent enough to hear a pin drop. Veronica stood frozen, champagne dripping from her designer dress. Mrs. Chen had stopped mid-stride. Every eye in the room was on us. On me. "I don't love you," Marcus had said. Like it was nothing. Like 3 years of my life meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. I looked at Mr. Castellano, at this dangerous, beautiful stranger who'd asked my name, who'd given me his card, who'd noticed bruises no one else had cared about. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm finished." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Satisfaction, maybe, or promise. He turned to Marcus, and I watched my ex-boyfriend actually shrink backward. "Then she's mine." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Or a salvation. Marcus's face went from pale to gray. "Mr. Castellano, please. I didn't know. If I'd known she was—" "You didn't know, because you never asked." His voice remained quiet, but it carried across the entire ballroom. You saw a beautiful woman and thought her easy prey. You took what she offered and gave nothing back. You hurt her. He paused, and somehow the silence was worse than any threat. I don't appreciate waste, Marcus. And you've wasted something precious. I'll make it right, I swear. Too late. Mr. Castellano gestured to one of his guards, who stepped forward. You have 72 hours to settle your debts with her. Every penny she spent on you, every shift she worked to keep you comfortable, every moment of her time you stole, calculate it. Pay it. And then you're going to disappear from her life like you never existed. But, am I unclear? No, sir. No, I understand. Marcus looked at me, and I saw hatred burning in his eyes beneath the fear. This isn't over, Emma. Mr. Castellano moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was standing still. The next his hand was wrapped around Marcus's throat, lifting him slightly off his feet. The guard's hand was inside his jacket now, and Veronica screamed. It's over, Mr. Castellano said, his voice still that same quiet tone that somehow made every word feel like a blade. If you contact her, look at her, breathe in her direction, I will know, and then we'll have a very different conversation. Are we clear? Marcus nodded frantically, his face turning purple. Mr. Castellano released him, and Marcus collapsed against the table, gasping. Then he turned to me, and the dangerous man vanished, replaced by someone almost gentle. Come, Emma. He extended his hand. You're done here. I stared at his hand like it was a snake. I don't understand what's happening. You're leaving with me. Unless you'd prefer to stay. He glanced around the ballroom, at the gawking guests, at Mrs. Chen's furious face, at Marcus wheezing beside his overturned chair. The choice is yours. It's always yours. My whole body trembled. This was insane. I didn't know this man. He was clearly dangerous, the kind of dangerous that made Marcus, who'd always seemed so powerful in my small world, look like a terrified child. But Marcus had said he didn't love me, had humiliated me, had left marks on my skin that this stranger had noticed when no one else had cared, and something in Mr. Castellano's dark eyes promised that whatever came next, I would never be invisible again. I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, warm and strong, and I felt that electric current again. Stronger now, running from where we touched straight to my core. Good girl, he murmured, and the words shouldn't have affected me the way they did. He led me toward the exit, his guards falling into formation around us. Behind us, chaos erupted. Voices, crying, Mrs. Chen shouting my name, but none of it mattered. None of it reached through the strange bubble that seemed to surround us. At the ballroom door, he paused, glancing back at the crowd one last time. This party is over. Everyone out. Now. And they moved. All of them. Like puppets with cut strings, scrambling for the exits. The door closed behind us, and he led me through the corridor, not the service corridor where we'd met, but the main hallway with its plush carpeting and expensive artwork. His guard walked ahead, speaking into an earpiece, while another fell back to cover our rear. Where are we going? I finally found my voice, somewhere safe. He didn't look at me, his thumb tracing small circles on the back of my hand, in a gesture that should have been comforting but instead made my pulse race. Somewhere we can talk. I don't even know you. Now he did look at me, and I nearly stumbled at the intensity in his eyes. No, but you will. We emerged into the hotel's circular drive where a black SUV waited, engine running. The windows were tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. Another SUV idled behind it, and I realized with a start that there were probably more. A whole convoy hidden in the shadows. The guard opened the rear door, and Mr. Castellano gestured for me to enter. I hesitated on the threshold between my old life and something unknown. Behind me, the Valencia Grand Hotel where I'd just lost everything. Ahead, a dangerous stranger who'd claimed me in front of a room full of witnesses. Then she's mine. What had I done? Emma. His voice was soft now, close to my ear, his breath warm against my neck. Trust me. And God help me, I did. I climbed into the SUV, and he followed, settling beside me as the door closed with an expensive, final-sounding thunk. The interior smelled like leather, and that intoxicating scent I'd noticed before. sandalwood and smoke and something uniquely him. The guard took the driver's seat, another beside him, and we pulled away from the hotel smoothly. Through the tinted windows, I watched the world I knew disappear into the darkness. "What happens now?" I asked, my voice small in the sudden quiet. Mr. Castellano reached out, gently tilting my chin so I had to look at him. In the dim interior lighting, his features were sharp angles and shadows, beautiful and terrifying all at once. "Now," he said, "you tell me everything about the man who thought he could throw you away, and then I decide what to do about it." His thumb brushed across my lower lip, and I shivered. "And Emma?" His smile was dark, promising things I couldn't name. "You're going to learn what it means to be cherished by someone who never wastes anything precious." The SUV turned onto the highway, accelerating smoothly into the night, carrying me away from everything I'd known toward a future I couldn't imagine. I should have been terrified. Maybe I was. But beneath the fear was something else, something that had unfurled in my chest the moment his hand had touched mine. Hope. The SUV glided through the city streets like a shadow, smooth and silent despite its obvious weight. I pressed my hand against the cool window, watching neon lights blur past. Restaurants I'd never eat in, boutiques I'd never enter, lives I'd never live. Except now, sitting beside a man whose name I barely knew, everything felt uncertain, possible, terrifying. "You're shaking." His voice cut through my thoughts, low and observant. I pulled my hand back, tucking it beneath my thigh. "I'm fine." Liar. But there was no accusation in the word, just statement of fact. He shifted, and suddenly his jacket was around my shoulders, heavy and warm and saturated with his scent. Better? The leather was butter soft, probably cost more than my monthly rent. I pulled it tighter around myself, nodding because I didn't trust my voice. We'd been driving for maybe 15 minutes, the cityscape gradually shifting from downtown glitter to tree-lined streets with gates and security cameras. Old money territory, the kind of neighborhood where people like me only existed to clean houses or serve dinner parties. "Where are we going?" I asked again, because the silence was stretching too long and my imagination was filling it with increasingly wild scenarios. "My home." He was watching me. I could feel it, but I kept my eyes forward. "We need privacy for this conversation, and hotels have too many eyes. Your home." I repeated it slowly, tasting the danger in those words. "I don't think that's—" "You're safe with me, Emma." His hand found mine in the darkness, engulfing it completely. "I know you have no reason to believe that, but it's the truth. I'm many things, most of them terrible, but I don't hurt women. Ever." I turned to look at him then, searching his face for deception. The passing streetlights painted him in alternating shadow and gold, and I found myself wanting to believe him. Wanting it so badly it scared me more than anything else that had happened tonight. "Who are you?" I whispered. "Really?" His lips curved into something too sharp to be a smile. "Dante Castellano, and before you ask, yes, that Castellano family. I'm sure you've heard stories. I had. Everyone in the city had. Whispers about organized crime, about a family that controlled everything from the docks to City Hall, about a young Don who'd taken over after his father's death and consolidated power with ruthless efficiency. The newspapers called him untouchable. The streets called him something else, Il Diavolo, the devil. My breath caught. "You're—" "Yes." He said it calmly, like admitting he was a banker or a lawyer. "Does that frighten you?" It should, shouldn't it? But I didn't pull my hand away. Couldn't. "You just threatened my ex-boyfriend, claimed me in front of everyone like I was property, and now you're taking me to your house. A smart woman would be terrified." "And are you? Terrified?" I considered the question honestly. Was I? My heart raced, adrenaline still flooding my system. But beneath the fear was something else. Something that had sparked to life when he'd looked at Marcus with death in his eyes and asked if I was finished. No one had ever defended me before. No one had ever noticed I needed defending. "I don't know what I am," I admitted. The SUV turned through massive iron gates that swung open automatically, motion sensors tracking our approach. The driveway stretched ahead, lined with old-growth trees and subtle lighting that somehow made the darkness seem deeper. Through the branches, I caught glimpses of stone and glass, a structure that seemed to grow from the landscape itself. "You're exhausted," Dante said, his thumb tracing those same small circles on my hand. "You're hurt. You're confused. And you're wondering if you've made the worst mistake of your life getting into this car with a monster." I didn't say monster. You didn't have to. We pulled up to a circular courtyard, a fountain at its center casting dancing shadows across marble pavers. "It's what I am, Emma. Better you know that now." The SUV stopped, and immediately one of the guards appeared, opening Dante's door. He stepped out fluidly, then turned to offer me his hand. I hesitated for just a moment before taking it, letting him help me down. The November air bit through my thin uniform, and I was grateful for his jacket still wrapped around me. The house loomed above. Calling it a house felt inadequate. It was an estate, all clean modern lines and floor-to-ceiling windows, warm light spilling from within, beautiful. Cold. Exactly what I'd imagine a devil's lair to look like. "Come." Dante's hand found the small of my back, guiding me toward the entrance. His touch was light, respectful, but I felt branded by it nonetheless. Inside, the space opened up into a cathedral-ceilinged foyer, all white marble and dark wood. Abstract art I didn't understand decorated the walls, and a floating staircase curved upward to a second floor wrapped in glass railings. It was stunning, sterile, a showpiece, not a home. A woman appeared from a side hallway, older, perhaps 60, with steel-gray hair pulled into a neat bun and kind eyes that assessed me quickly. "Mr. Castellano, we weren't expecting you back tonight." "Change of plans, Teresa." He guided me forward gently. "This is Emma. She'll be staying with us. Can you prepare the guest suite in the East Wing?" Teresa's eyebrows rose fractionally, but she recovered quickly. "Of course. Would the young lady like something to eat? Some tea, perhaps?" My stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten since my hurried lunch 12 hours ago. Dante's lips twitched. "Yes, Teresa. Something light. We'll be in my study." He turned to me. "Unless you'd prefer to go straight to your room? You don't have to talk to me tonight if you'd rather." "No," the word came out too fast, too desperate. "I mean, I'd rather understand what's happening, what I've gotten myself into." His expression softened infinitesimally. "All right, this way." He led me down a hallway lined with photographs, old black and white images of stern-faced men, women in vintage clothing, children playing in what looked like Italian countryside. His family, I realized. Generations of Castellanos staring down at me with varying degrees of judgment. The study was smaller than I'd expected, more intimate. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined 3 walls, packed with everything from leather-bound classics to modern thrillers. A massive desk dominated one corner, its surface neat except for a laptop and a crystal tumbler half full of amber liquid. Across from it, a leather sofa and 2 chairs created a conversation area around a fireplace where flames crackled softly. "Sit," Dante gestured to the sofa. "Please." I perched on the edge, hyper-aware of how out of place I looked in my wrinkled uniform and his expensive jacket. He moved to a bar cart, pouring 2 fingers of whiskey into a fresh glass. "Drink?" He offered it to me. "I don't usually." "Tonight isn't usual." He pressed the glass into my hand, his fingers lingering against mine. "Trust me. You'll want it." I sipped tentatively, the liquid burning down my throat and pooling warmth in my stomach. He was right. I needed it. Dante settled into the chair across from me, close enough that our knees almost touched. He'd removed his jacket at some point, rolled his shirt sleeves to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and scattered with scars. Old wounds, I realized. Evidence of a life I couldn't begin to imagine. "Ask," he said simply. "Whatever you want to know. I'll answer honestly." Where did I even begin? My mind spun with 1,000 questions, each more impossible than the last. "Why?" I finally managed. "Why did you... at the party? You didn't know me. You didn't know Marcus. Why did you do that?" He took a slow sip of his drink, considering. Do you believe in instinct, Emma? I don't understand. I saw you in that corridor, crying, trying to hide it but failing. And I saw these. He reached out, his fingers ghosting over the bruises on my arm so gently I barely felt it. I have 2 sisters. If any man ever put marks like this on them, I would kill him, slowly. So when I walked into that ballroom and saw the same man who'd hurt you dismiss you like garbage, he paused, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. Instinct took over. But you said, you claimed me, like I was yours. Yes. Why? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, the firelight casting his features in sharp relief. Because the moment you took my hand, you became mine to protect. That's how this works in my world, Emma. You accept my protection. You fall under my umbrella. No one touches you. No one hurts you. And anyone who tries answers to me. The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified me. Instead, something warm and dangerous unfurled in my chest. I don't need protection, I said. But the words rang hollow even to my own ears. No? He tilted his head. Where were you going to go tonight after your shift ended? Back to the apartment you share with 3 other people, working yourself to exhaustion at jobs that barely pay enough to survive? How much did Marcus take from you, Emma? How much did you give? Tears burned behind my eyes. That's none of your business. You made it my business when you said yes in that ballroom. His voice softened. I'm not judging you. I'm trying to help you see what you already know. You're drowning, and you have been for a long time. I'm offering you a way out. Nothing is free, I whispered. What do you want from me? The question hung between us, heavy with implication. Dante set down his glass and moved to the sofa beside me, close enough that I could feel his body heat. Smell that intoxicating scent of sandalwood and danger, honestly. His hand cupped my cheek, tilting my face toward his. I don't know yet. I saw a beautiful woman being hurt, and I reacted. Everything after that, we'll figure out together. You can't just collect people because you feel like it. I don't. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone, wiping away a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You're the first. Why me? Why not you? He smiled then, a real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. You're stronger than you think, Emma. Strong enough to work yourself to the bone for someone who didn't deserve it. Strong enough to walk away when it mattered. I respect strength. A knock at the door interrupted whatever I might have said. Teresa entered with a tray, delicate sandwiches, fruit, cheese, and a pot of tea that smelled like chamomile and honey. Thank you, Teresa. Dante stood, taking the tray from her and setting it on the coffee table. That will be all tonight. The guest suite? Prepared and ready, Mr. Castellano. She glanced at me, something maternal in her expression. There are toiletries in the bathroom, miss, and I've left some clothes that should fit. If you need anything at all, just press the call button by the bed. Thank you, I managed, overwhelmed by the casual kindness. When she'd gone, Dante poured tea into a delicate china cup and handed it to me. Eat. You're running on empty. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until I bit into a sandwich. The food was simple, but perfect. Fresh bread, real butter, vegetables that actually tasted like something. I ate 3 sandwiches before I could stop myself, washing them down with tea that soothed my raw throat. Dante watched me the entire time, a slight smile playing at his lips. What? I asked around a mouthful of strawberry. Nothing. It's just refreshing. Most women I know would rather starve than eat in front of me. Most women you know probably haven't worked a 12-hour shift without a break. I reached for another sandwich, then hesitated. Sorry, I'm being yourself. He pushed the plate closer to me. Don't apologize for that. Ever. I ate more slowly this time, acutely aware of his attention on me. The fire crackled. Somewhere in the house, a clock chimed midnight. The surreal quality of the evening was catching up to me. Less than 2 hours ago, I'd been serving champagne at my ex's engagement party. Now I was eating sandwiches in a Mafia Don's study, wearing his jacket, drinking his whiskey. My life had become a fever dream. Tell me about Marcus, Dante said quietly. How long were you together? 3 years. The words tasted bitter. Met him at a coffee shop where I was working. He seemed different, ambitious, going places. He said he was going to start his own investment firm, that he just needed time to get established, and you believed him. Wouldn't you? He was charming, confident. He made me feel like I mattered. I laughed without humor. God, I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were hopeful. There's a difference. Dante's jaw tightened. What happened? The usual story. His business ventures never quite panned out. There was always some excuse. Bad partners, bad timing, bad luck. Meanwhile, I worked more hours, picked up extra shifts, paid his rent when he was short, bought his groceries, covered his car payment. Shame heated my cheeks. I thought I was helping, investing in our future, while he was investing in someone else. Veronica. I spit the name like poison. Met her 6 months ago, apparently. Her father owns some tech company, has connections Marcus wanted, so he upgraded. Dante's hand found mine again, his grip firm and grounding. He's a parasite. They exist in every level of society. People who take and take until there's nothing left, then move on to the next victim. You're well rid of him. Then why does it still hurt so much? The question came out broken, and suddenly I was crying for real. All the pain and humiliation and rage I'd been holding back flooding out in ugly, gasping sobs. I tried to pull away, to hide my face, but Dante wouldn't let me. He pulled me against his chest, one hand cradling the back of my head, the other wrapped around my waist. Let it out, he murmured against my hair. You're safe here. Let it all out. So I did. I cried for 3 wasted years, for the dreams that had died, for the version of myself who'd believed love was supposed to hurt. I cried until my throat was raw and my eyes burned and I had nothing left. Through it all, Dante held me, steady, solid, a stranger who somehow felt more real than anyone I'd ever known. When the storm finally passed, I pulled back slightly, mortified. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. He brushed hair from my face, his touch achingly gentle. You're allowed to grieve what you lost, even if losing it was the best thing that could have happened. I looked up at him, at this beautiful, dangerous man who'd appeared in my life like a dark angel. I don't understand you. Good. His smile was crooked, almost boyish. Mystery keeps things interesting. Despite everything, I laughed. It came out watery and broken, but it was real. There she is, Dante said softly. I was wondering if I'd get to see you smile. The intimacy of the moment crashed over me. We were so close I could count his eyelashes, see the faint stubble darkening his jaw, feel his heartbeat against my palm where my hand had landed on his chest. His eyes dropped to my lips, and the air between us charged with possibility. Emma. My name was a question, a warning, a promise. Yes? I barely breathed the word. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. Couldn't. My eyes fluttered closed as his lips brushed mine, soft as a whisper, gentle as a secret. The kiss was nothing like I'd expected. No crushing force, no claiming possession, just warmth and sweetness and a tenderness that made my chest ache. He tasted like whiskey and dark promises, and I found myself leaning into him, wanting more. He pulled back before I was ready, resting his forehead against mine. You're exhausted, he murmured, and you've had the worst night of your life. Whatever this is, it can wait until you've had some rest. What if I don't want to wait? The boldness surprised us both. His pupils dilated, desire flickering across his features before he controlled it. Then you'll tell me that tomorrow, when you're thinking clearly, when you're not running on adrenaline and trauma and exhaustion. He stood, pulling me up with him. Come on, let me show you to your room. He was right, of course. I could barely keep my eyes open, my body crashing now that the adrenaline had worn off. But disappointment still curled in my stomach as he led me back through the hallway, up that floating staircase, down a corridor lined with closed doors. The guest suite was at the end, and when he opened the door, I actually gasped. The room was enormous, decorated in soft creams and blues that reminded me of clouds. A massive 4-poster bed dominated the space, piled with pillows and draped in silk that looked sinfully soft. Through an open door, I glimpsed a bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. Teresa left clothes in the closet, Dante said, his hand still resting on my lower back. Bathroom is stocked with everything you should need. My room is 2 doors down if you need anything. Anything at all. I turned to face him, suddenly overwhelmed. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet. Something dark crossed his expression. You don't know what you've agreed to, Emma. What being mine means in my world, then tell me. He studied me for a long moment, seeming to wage some internal battle. Finally, he cupped my face in both hands, his touch reverent. It means you belong to me now. Under my protection, yes, but also under my rules. It means you don't make decisions without consulting me first. Don't go anywhere without security. Don't trust anyone I haven't vetted. His thumbs brushed across my cheekbones. It means your freedom comes at a cost, and that cost is your independence. The words should have sent me running. Instead, they sent a shiver down my spine that wasn't entirely fear. And if I can't accept those terms, then I'll have someone drive you anywhere you want to go tomorrow morning and you'll never see me again. His expression was unreadable. The choice is yours, Emma. It's always yours. He pressed a soft kiss to my forehead, then stepped back. Sleep well, Tesoro. We'll talk more in the morning. He was halfway to the door when I found my voice. Dante? He paused, looking back. I'm not going anywhere. Something blazed in his eyes. Triumph, possession, desire. I couldn't tell, maybe all three. We'll see how you feel in the morning. Then he was gone, the door clicking softly shut behind him. I stood frozen for a moment, then slowly stripped off my ruined uniform, letting it pool on the floor. In the bathroom, I found luxury I'd only seen in magazines. Designer toiletries, fluffy towels, a shower with 6 different settings. I showered until the water ran cold, scrubbing away the champagne and tears, and the feeling of Marcus's fingers on my skin. When I finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that probably cost more than my weekly paycheck, I found pajamas laid out on the bed, silk, in a deep blue that made my eyes look brighter. I slipped between sheets that felt like clouds and sank into pillows that smelled faintly of lavender. Every muscle in my body ached. My eyes burned from crying, and my mind spun with everything that had happened. But as I drifted toward sleep, I didn't feel afraid. I felt claimed, protected, wanted. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like I mattered. And God help me, I liked it. Sunlight woke me, streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows I hadn't noticed last night. I blinked against the brightness, disoriented for a moment, before memory crashed back. The party. Marcus. Dante. Then she's mine. I sat up slowly, taking in the room in daylight. It was even more beautiful than I'd realized. The morning sun painted everything gold, revealing details I'd missed. Fresh flowers on the nightstand, their scent delicate and sweet. A sitting area by the windows with a view of manicured gardens that seemed to stretch forever. On the chair beside the bed, someone had laid out clothes, jeans that looked like they'd actually fit, a soft cashmere sweater in dove gray, even underwear still in packaging. A note rested on top, written in elegant script. Good morning, Miss Emma. Breakfast is ready when you are. Ring if you need anything. Teresa. My phone sat charging on the nightstand, though I didn't remember plugging it in. When I checked the screen, my stomach dropped. 43 missed calls, 67 text messages. Most from Marcus, increasingly frantic. A few from my roommate, confused about where I was. One from Mrs. Chen, informing me I was fired. I should have felt panic. Instead, I felt nothing. Like all those messages belonged to someone else's life. I showered again, unable to resist the luxury of the rainfall showerhead and the array of expensive products. The clothes fit perfectly, too perfectly. Someone had guessed my size exactly, which should have been creepy, but instead felt oddly thoughtful. When I finally ventured out of the room, I found the house transformed by daylight. What had seemed cold and sterile last night now revealed itself as carefully curated minimalism. Clean lines, open spaces, art that played with light and shadow. Through the windows, I could see the gardens properly now, all geometric hedges and stone pathways, beautiful in their precision. I followed the scent of coffee and something baking, my stomach growling despite the sandwiches from last night. The kitchen was enormous, all white marble and stainless steel, with an island big enough to seat 8. Teresa stood at the stove, humming softly to herself. "Good morning, dear." She smiled warmly when she saw me. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in months, actually." It was true. Despite everything, I'd slept dreamlessly, deeply, for nearly 10 hours. Excellent. Sit. She gestured to the island where a place had been set. Fresh orange juice, a cappuccino with a perfect heart design in the foam, a basket of pastries that smelled like heaven. Mr. Castellano had to step out for a meeting, but he left instructions that you're to have whatever you'd like. Are you hungry? Starving. I slid onto one of the stools, wrapping my hands around the cappuccino cup. The first sip was perfect, rich and smooth with just a hint of sweetness. Teresa beamed and began assembling a plate. Fluffy, scrambled eggs with herbs, crispy bacon, roasted tomatoes, toast that was still warm from the oven. She set it in front of me with a flourish. "Eat. You're too thin. Mr. Castellano worries." I almost choked on my coffee. He worries. He barely knows me. Maybe so. Teresa began cleaning the already spotless counter. But he knows enough. I've worked for the Castellano family for 30 years, Miss Emma. I've never seen him bring anyone here. Not once. The weight of that settled over me as I ate. The food was incredible, each bite bursting with flavor, and I found myself eating everything on the plate plus 2 chocolate croissants from the basket. "Where did he go?" I asked, licking chocolate from my fingers. The meeting, I mean. Teresa's expression shifted, becoming carefully neutral. "Business, dear. Nothing for you to worry about. Business." Right. Because Dante Castellano wasn't a regular businessman with spreadsheets and PowerPoints. He was a mafia don with territory and rivals, and God knew what else. What had I gotten myself into? "Teresa?" I set down my cup. "Be honest with me. Should I be scared?" She stopped her cleaning and came around the island, taking my hand in both of hers. Her skin was warm, worn soft with age. "Mr. Castellano is many things," she said carefully. "He's dangerous, yes, ruthless when he needs to be, but he has a code, a sense of honor that runs deeper than you might expect. If he's claimed you under his protection, you're safer here than anywhere else in this city. Do you understand?" I wasn't sure I did, but I nodded anyway. The sound of the front door opening made us both turn. Voices echoed through the foyer. Dante's deep rumble and another man's lighter tone, followed by a woman's laugh. "Ah," Teresa said, releasing my hand. "The family's here. That'll be Mr. Castellano's sisters." Before I could process that, they swept into the kitchen like a designer-clad tornado. The woman was stunning, mid-20s, with long dark hair and the same golden brown eyes as Dante, dressed in tailored pants and a silk blouse that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The man beside her was equally beautiful, though in a softer way, with carefully styled hair and an easy smile. "Teresa, cara mia, you're an angel. Is that your lemon ricotta cake I smell?" The woman air-kissed Teresa's cheeks before her gaze landed on me. "And you must be Emma." I stood awkwardly, hyper-aware of how out of place I must look despite the expensive clothes. Yes, hi. Gabriella Castellano." She crossed to me in 3 long strides, taking my hands and studying me with unabashed interest. "Dante's sister. And this is Marco, my utterly useless but occasionally amusing best friend. Charmed." Marco gave me a little wave, his eyes dancing with mischief. "So you're the mystery woman who has our dear Dante in knots. Delightful." I'm not, I stammered, but Gabriella cut me off. "Don't bother denying it. He called me at 6 this morning. 6, Emma. Ranting about appropriate security measures and background checks and whether Teresa could be trusted to keep you comfortable." She laughed, releasing my hands to steal a croissant from my basket. I've never heard him so worked up over anyone. Heat flooded my cheeks. "He really doesn't need to, but he does." Gabriella's expression sobered slightly. "That's who Dante is. When he decides something, or someone is his, he's all in. Obsessive, really. It's the Castellano curse. Gabriella." Dante's voice cut across the kitchen, sharp with warning. He stood in the doorway, still in the same clothes from last night, but somehow looking completely put together. His eyes found mine immediately, and I felt that electric current again. Stop terrorizing my guest. I'm not terrorizing. I'm educating. But she stepped back, grinning. Morning, Fradolino. You look terrible. Didn't sleep. His gaze didn't leave me as he crossed the kitchen. Emma, how are you feeling? Confused. Overwhelmed. Possibly still in shock. I met his eyes. But okay, I think. Something that might have been relief flickered across his face. Good. That's good. He turned to Teresa. Could you give us a moment? Take Gabriella and Marco to the sitting room. I need to speak with Emma privately. Of course. Teresa herded the other two out, despite Gabriella's protests. And then we were alone. Dante moved to the coffee maker, preparing an espresso with practiced ease. I'm sorry about my sister. She has no boundaries. She seems nice. She's a menace. But there was affection in his voice. He leaned against the counter, espresso cup in hand, watching me. We need to talk about what happens next. My stomach tightened. Okay. First, Marcus. My people did some digging last night. His expression hardened. He owes you significantly more than you probably realize. $32,000 to be exact. Rent, car payments, credit card bills in your name that he ran up, cash loans you made him. Does that sound right? 32,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. 3 years of my life, quantified in cold numbers. I never kept track. Well, I did. He has until Monday to pay you back, every cent, or I start taking payment in other ways. The casual menace in his voice made me shiver. He won't bother you again, Emma. I promise you that. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. He set down his cup and moved closer, stopping just shy of touching me. You're under my protection now. That means your debts become my debts. Your problems become my problems. Understand? But I barely know you. The protest sounded weak even to my ears. Then get to know me. He tilted his head, studying me with an intensity that made my breath catch. Stay here. Not just for a night or two, but actually stay. Let me show you what your life could be like without someone taking advantage of you. I can't just move in with a stranger. Why not? What's waiting for you out there? He gestured vaguely toward the windows. A job you just lost? An apartment you share with 3 other people where you sleep on a mattress on the floor? Friends who didn't notice you were being used? What exactly are you going back to? The truth of his words stung. He was right. I had nothing. No job, no savings Marcus hadn't drained, no family to speak of. Just a life of survival, of working myself to exhaustion for scraps. I don't want to be a kept woman, I whispered. Then don't be. He cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. Work for me if you want. I have businesses, legitimate businesses, that could use someone smart and hardworking. Or go to school, finish that degree you had to drop out of, or do nothing at all except figure out who you are when someone isn't taking pieces of you. Why? The question burst out of me. Why do you care? You saw me for 5 minutes in a hallway. What could possibly make you want to... I don't know. The admission seemed to cost him. I saw you crying, saw those bruises, and something in me just snapped. Like finding something precious that had been thrown away and knowing I had to keep it, protect it. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this whole thing is insane, but I meant what I said last night, Emma. You're mine now, and I take care of what's mine. The possessiveness should have terrified me. Instead, it made something warm bloom in my chest, spreading through my veins like honey. What if I say yes? I asked quietly. What if I stay? His pupils dilated, desire and triumph warring in his expression. Then you follow my rules. You don't leave this property without security. You don't contact anyone from your old life without clearing it with me first. You let me vet anyone who wants to get close to you. His thumb brushed across my lower lip. And you accept that you belong to me in every way that matters. That's a lot of control to give someone, yes. He didn't deny it, didn't make excuses. But in return you get safety, security, the freedom to become whoever you want without worrying about money or survival or someone using you. Is that not a fair trade? I thought about Marcus, about 3 years of giving everything and getting nothing. about working 3 jobs and still barely making rent, about being invisible, forgotten, used up and thrown away. Dante was offering me a cage, yes. But it was a golden cage with everything I'd ever wanted inside it. I need time to think, I said, though part of me already knew the answer. Take all the time you need. He pressed a kiss to my forehead, soft and reverent. I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you, until you're ready. A phone buzzed, his, I realized, when he pulled it from his pocket and frowned at the screen. I have to take this. He stepped back, already swiping to answer. Dante. A pause, then his expression went cold. When? Another pause. Secure the perimeter. No one in or out without my explicit approval. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He ended the call and looked at me, conflict clear in his eyes. I have to go. There's a situation that requires my attention. He crossed to the kitchen entrance, spoke in rapid Italian to someone I couldn't see. One of his guards appeared in the doorway. Marco will stay with you. Gabriella, too. Don't leave the property. And don't open any doors for anyone except Teresa or my people. Understand? What's wrong? Fear crept into my voice. Are you in danger? His expression softened. I'm always in danger, Tesoro. It's the life I chose. But I'll be fine. This is just business. He started to leave, then turned back, crossing the distance between us in 2 strides. His hand tangled in my hair as he pulled me into a kiss that was nothing like last night's gentle exploration. This was claiming, possessive, a brand that seared straight through me. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Don't leave, he said against my lips. Please, just stay. Then he was gone, his footsteps echoing through the house, the front door opening and closing with a finality that made my chest ache. I stood frozen in the kitchen, my lips still tingling, my heart racing. Through the window, I watched the SUVs pull away, taking him toward whatever danger awaited. Well, Gabriella appeared in the doorway, Marco behind her, both wearing matching expressions of amused interest. That was quite the goodbye kiss. I touched my lips, still feeling the imprint of his. He's intense. That's one word for it. She linked her arm through mine, steering me toward the sitting room. Come on. If you're going to be part of this family, you need to understand what you're getting into. And I have so many stories about my darling brother. Part of this family. The words echoed in my head as I let her guide me, Marco trailing behind with a fresh pot of coffee and conspiratorial grin. Was that what I wanted? To be part of this dangerous, beautiful, impossible world? I thought about Dante's kiss, about the way he looked at me like I was something precious, about waking up in silk sheets instead of on a mattress on the floor, about never having to count pennies or work until I collapsed or settle for scraps of affection from someone who didn't value me. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe this was the worst decision I could possibly make. But for the first time in years, I felt alive. And that had to count for something. Gabriella settled us in a sunlit room filled with comfortable furniture, and more of that carefully curated art. Marco poured coffee while she curled up beside me, studying me with those eyes so like her brother's. So, she said, let's start with the basics. How much do you know about what Dante actually does? I hesitated. I know he's involved in organized crime, that people call him Il Diavolo. Diplomatic. Marco handed me a cup. She's diplomatic, Ella. I like her. The devil, Gabriella continued, ignoring him. Yes, they call him that, and he's earned it. Make no mistake. Dante took over when our father died 5 years ago, and he's been consolidating power ever since. He's ruthless, efficient, and absolutely terrifying when someone crosses him. You're not exactly selling this, I pointed out. She laughed. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be honest. Dante is dangerous, Emma. He's killed people. Ordered others killed. He controls half this city's illegal operations, and has his hands in plenty of legitimate businesses too. If you stay with him, you'll be part of that world. Protected, yes, but also exposed to dangers you can't imagine. Why are you telling me this? Because I love my brother. Her expression grew serious. And I haven't seen him like this in ever, actually. He's obsessed with you already. I can see it. Which means you have power over him, whether you realize it or not. And power in our world is dangerous. I don't want power over him. Doesn't matter. You have it anyway. She reached over, squeezing my hand. Just be careful with it. With him. He acts invincible, but he's not. None of us are. Marco cleared his throat. On a lighter note, I should mention that Dante has already assigned you a security detail. 4 men who will follow you everywhere once you start leaving the property. Thrilling, really. Everywhere, I squeaked. Well, maybe not the bathroom, Gabriella said dryly. But yes, everywhere else. Welcome to dating a Castellano. Privacy is a myth. We spent the next hour like that, Gabriella and Marco tag-teaming stories about Dante, painting a picture of a man who was simultaneously terrifying and tender, ruthless, and surprisingly romantic. He'd once killed a man for hitting a woman in front of him. He bought out an entire flower shop every week to keep Teresa's vases full. He hadn't dated anyone seriously in 3 years because he was waiting for something real. And now, apparently, he thought that something was me. My phone buzzed with another text from Marcus, then another, and another. You should block him, Gabriella suggested, noticing my expression. Actually, give me your phone. Before I could protest, she'd snatched it from my hand and was typing rapidly. There, blocked on everything. He can't contact you, can't see your social media, nothing. If he tries anything else, Dante will handle it. He's going to pay me back, I said quietly. $32,000, Dante said. Gabriella and Marco exchanged a look. He'll pay, Marco said grimly. Or he'll regret it. Dante doesn't make idle threats. The thought should have troubled me. Instead, I felt a savage satisfaction. Marcus had used me, humiliated me, thrown me away. Now he would face consequences for the first time in his entitled life. Was that wrong? Did it make me a bad person to want him to suffer? Don't, Gabriella said softly, reading my expression. Don't feel guilty for wanting justice. That's what Dante's giving you. Not revenge, but justice. There's a difference. My phone, still in her hand, rang. She glanced at the screen and smiled. Speak of the devil, she answered on speaker. Missing your girl already, Fratello? Put Emma on. Dante's voice was tight, stressed in a way I hadn't heard before. Gabriella handed me the phone, suddenly serious. I took it with shaking hands. Dante, what's wrong? Nothing for you to worry about, just checking in. But I could hear tension in every word, could hear shouting in the background, the sound of car doors slamming. Are you okay? Gabriella and Marco treating you well? I'm fine. They're telling me embarrassing stories about you. A brief huff that might have been a laugh. I'm sure they are. Listen, I might be later than expected getting back. There's a complication. What kind of complication? Silence stretched between us. Then, the kind I can't discuss over the phone. Just stay inside, stay with Gabriella. I'll be home as soon as I can. Home. He'd called this place home, like I already belonged here. Be careful, I whispered, surprising myself with how much I meant it. Always. His voice softened. And Emma? Thank you for staying. The line went dead before I could respond. I handed the phone back to Gabriella, my hands still shaking. She and Marco were both watching me with identical expressions of concern. What aren't you telling me? I demanded. What's really happening? Gabriella bit her lip, clearly debating. Finally, there's been some unrest. A rival family testing boundaries, pushing into territory Dante controls. It's nothing new, but the timing is unfortunate. Because of me. No, Marco interjected. Because people are always looking for weaknesses, for opportunities. You're not a weakness, Emma. You're just new, different. And in our world, different attracts attention. I thought about Dante claiming me in front of a room full of people, about how quickly word must have spread. About what it might mean that the city's most powerful crime boss had suddenly acquired a nobody waitress. I'm making things complicated for him, I said quietly. Good, Gabriella said fiercely. He needs complicated. He needs something real, something worth protecting that isn't just territory and power. You're good for him, Emma. I can already tell. But as we sat there in that beautiful room, drinking expensive coffee and pretending everything was normal, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd stumbled into something far bigger and more dangerous than I'd imagined. And that loving Dante Castellano might cost more than I was ready to pay. The afternoon stretched into evening, shadows lengthening across the gardens as the sun dipped toward the horizon. Gabriella had finally stopped her interrogation disguised as conversation and retreated to the kitchen with Marco to help Teresa prepare dinner. I'd excused myself to the guest suite, claiming exhaustion, but really just needing space to think, to process everything. I stood at the window watching the property's perimeter. Even in daylight, I could see them, guards positioned at regular intervals, moving in coordinated patterns, protecting the house, protecting me. The weight of it pressed against my chest like a physical thing. My phone buzzed. A new number I didn't recognize. The money will be transferred to your account by Monday morning. All of it. Please tell him I'm sorry. Please. M. Marcus. He'd gotten a new number just to grovel. Part of me, the part that had loved him, that had believed his promises, felt a twinge of satisfaction. The rest of me just felt tired. I didn't respond. Didn't block the number. Just set the phone down and turned back to the window. A convoy of black SUVs wound up the driveway, moving fast. My heart jumped into my throat. Dante. I was out of the room before I consciously decided to move, flying down the stairs, my bare feet silent on the marble. Gabriella emerged from the kitchen as I reached the foyer, her expression tense. Emma, wait, but the front door was already opening. And then he was there. Dante looked like he'd been through war. His shirt was untucked, tie gone, jacket missing entirely. Dark stains, blood, I realized with horror, spattered his white dress shirt. A cut above his left eyebrow had been hastily cleaned but still looked angry and fresh. But his eyes, when they found me, blazed with an intensity that stole my breath. You're hurt, I breathed, crossing to him before I could stop myself. My hands hovered over the cut, afraid to touch. What happened? It's not my blood. He caught my hands, pulling them against his chest where I could feel his heart racing. Well, not most of it. I'm fine, Tesoro. I promise. You're bleeding. It's nothing. But he let me examine the cut, standing still under my inspection with surprising patience. The situation's handled. You're safe. I wasn't worried about me, I said before I could think better of it. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. No. No. I realized how close we were standing, how my hands had somehow ended up on his chest, how his were wrapped around my waist like he couldn't bear not touching me. I was worried about you, Emma. My name was almost a groan. You can't say things like that to me. Why not? Because it makes me wanna... He cut himself off, jaw clenching. You should go upstairs. I need to shower, change, handle some calls. We'll talk at dinner. But he didn't let me go. If anything, his grip tightened, his forehead dropping to rest against mine as he took a shuddering breath. Dante, I whispered. Give me a moment. Just let me have this moment. So I stood there in the foyer, held in the arms of a dangerous man who smelled like smoke and copper and something darker, and let him breathe me in like I was oxygen. Around us, his people moved. Guards securing doors, Teresa fussing in Italian, Gabriella and Marco watching from the kitchen doorway with knowing expressions. Finally, he pulled back, cupping my face. Go, please, before I do something we're both not ready for. The promise in his voice sent heat coursing through me, but I stepped back, nodding. He watched me climb the stairs, and I felt his gaze on me the entire way. Back in my room, I paced. Tried to read. Failed. Changed into one of the dresses Teresa had left. Soft blue cotton that hugged my curves and made my eyes look brighter. Applied minimal makeup from the cosmetics that had appeared on the vanity at some point during the day. I looked like someone else. Someone who belonged in this beautiful house. Who wore expensive clothes naturally. Who was worth protecting. I looked like Dante's. A knock at the door made me jump. Come in. Teresa peeked inside, smiling when she saw me. Beautiful, Miss Emma. Dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. Mr. Castellano asked if you'd join him in his study first. My stomach fluttered. Of course. I found him standing by the windows, staring out at the darkening gardens. He'd showered and changed into dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. The cut above his eye had been properly cleaned and bandaged. A tumbler of amber liquid dangled from one hand. "You wanted to see me?" I said softly. He turned, and the expression on his face when he saw me made my knees weak. Hunger, reverence, possession, all tangled together in a look that branded me more effectively than any words. "Beautiful," he murmured, setting down his drink and crossing to me. "You're so fucking beautiful, Emma. Do you know that?" I shook my head, speechless. "You are." His hands framed my face, tilting it up to his. "And you're mine. Tell me you know that. Tell me you're staying." The words caught in my throat. I need to understand what that means, really means. Not just the security and the rules, but what you want from me. Everything. No hesitation. I want everything, Emma. Your time, your attention, your trust. I want you in my bed at night and at my table in the morning. I want the right to protect you, to provide for you, to tear apart anyone who tries to hurt you. His thumb brushed across my lower lip. I want you to be mine in every way that matters. That's not love, I whispered. That's possession. Maybe. He didn't deny it, but it's honest. I'm not going to lie to you and call this something prettier than it is. I want to own you, Emma, and I want you to want to be owned. The words should have sent me running. Instead, they made something deep in my core clench with need. What if I can't give you that? Then I'll wait. His lips ghosted across my forehead, my temple, the corner of my mouth. I'll give you time, space, whatever you need, but I won't let you go back to that life. I won't let you struggle and scrape and be used by people who don't deserve you. You barely know me. I know enough. He pulled back to meet my eyes. I know you're strong, resilient, that you give everything you have to people you care about, that you've been hurt and used and thrown away. But you're still standing, still soft inside despite everything. His voice dropped. I know that when I kiss you, you melt against me like you've been waiting your whole life for someone to claim you properly. Heat flooded my cheeks. Dante, tell me I'm wrong. It was a challenge. His eyes dark and intense. Tell me you don't feel this thing between us. This pull. I couldn't. Because he was right. There was something between us. Something that had sparked to life the moment our eyes met in that corridor. Dangerous and intoxicating and absolutely terrifying. I feel it, I admitted, but that doesn't mean I understand it. You don't have to understand it. His hand slid down to my waist, pulling me flush against him. You just have to trust it. Trust me. You're asking for a lot of trust from someone who just had their trust destroyed. I know. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. But I'm not Marcus, Emma. I won't make promises I can't keep. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. What I am is a man who takes what he wants and keeps it. And I want you. Before I could respond, his mouth claimed mine in a kiss that was nothing like the gentle ones before. This was possession, pure and simple. His tongue sweeping into my mouth, his hands gripping my waist hard enough to bruise, his body pressing me backward until my back hit the wall. I should have pushed him away, should have demanded space, time, clarity. Instead, I kissed him back just as fiercely, my fingers tangling in his hair, my body arching into his. He groaned against my mouth, one hand sliding up to wrap around my throat, not squeezing, just holding, a reminder of his strength and my vulnerability. Say you're mine, he demanded against my lips. Say it, Emma. The words stuck in my throat, terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. A sharp knock on the study door made us both freeze. Dante pulled back with a muttered curse, his breathing ragged. What? He barked. The door opened a crack, and one of his guards spoke in rapid Italian. Dante responded in kind, his tone sharp, before turning back to me. I'm sorry. There's something I need to handle. It can't wait. Frustration darkened his features. Stay for dinner. Please, we'll continue this conversation after. He pressed one more quick, hard kiss to my lips, then strode from the room, leaving me trembling against the wall with my heart racing and my lips swollen. What was I doing? What was I thinking? But I already knew the answer. I was falling. Fast and hard and recklessly into something that could destroy me. And I wasn't sure I wanted to stop. Dinner was an elaborate affair. Teresa had outdone herself with homemade pasta, roasted vegetables, fresh bread that melted on the tongue. Gabriella and Marco kept up a steady stream of conversation, filling the silences with stories and laughter. But Dante's seat remained empty, and every minute that passed tightened the knot in my stomach. "He'll be back soon," Gabriella said, noticing my glances toward the door. "Probably just dealing with the Marcus situation." I set down my fork. "What Marcus situation?" She and Marco exchanged glances. "Nothing to worry about," Marco said quickly. "Just making sure he understands the consequences if he doesn't pay up." Making sure he understands, the carefully neutral phrase that meant something violent was happening somewhere in the city because of me, to protect me. "I don't want anyone hurt because of me," I said quietly. "Too late for that," Gabriella said, not unkindly. "The moment Dante claimed you, you became part of his world, and in his world, debts get paid, and disrespect gets answered. That's just how it works. It's barbaric." "Maybe," she shrugged. "But it's also effective. Marcus will never bother you again. Isn't that worth something? Was it?" I didn't know anymore. Everything felt upside down, my moral compass spinning wildly without direction. We'd just finished dessert, tiramisu that was somehow both light and rich, when Dante finally appeared in the dining room doorway. He'd changed again, this time into dark jeans and a black Henley that clung to his chest and arms. No blood this time, but his knuckles were bruised and swollen. "Sorry I'm late." He dropped into his chair, accepting the plate Teresa had kept warm for him. "Everything's handled. Marcus?" I asked before I could stop myself. His eyes met mine, dark and unreadable. "Paid in full as of 20 minutes ago. Every penny, plus interest. He won't contact you again." "What did you do to him?" "Nothing permanent." He cut into his pasta, his movements precise and controlled despite his injured hands. "Just a conversation about respect and consequences." He was very receptive. Gabriella snorted. "I bet he was." "Ella," Dante warned. "What? I'm just saying, I've seen your conversations, they're very persuasive." I looked between them, my stomach churning. "Did you hurt him?" Dante set down his fork, giving me his full attention. "Do you care if I did?" The question hung in the air. Did I? Marcus had used me, humiliated me, left marks on my skin. Part of me, a dark, secret part, wanted him to suffer. "I don't know," I admitted. Honest answer. Something that might have been approval flickered in his expression. "I'll give you an honest answer in return. Yes. I hurt him. Not badly, he'll heal. But enough that he'll remember what happens when someone touches what's mine. Does that bother you?" It should have. Everything about this should have bothered me instead. "No, it doesn't." Gabriella let out a low whistle. "Oh, she's perfect for you." "Gabriella," Dante said again. But this time there was amusement in his voice. "Don't you have somewhere to be?" "Actually, yes." She stood, Marco following suit. "We have that thing, at that place. Very important." She winked at me. "It was lovely meeting you, Emma. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of each other." They swept out in a flurry of air kisses and goodbyes, leaving me alone with Dante and Teresa, who was clearing plates with studied discretion. "I'll bring coffee to the sitting room," she said, disappearing into the kitchen before either of us could respond. Dante stood, offering me his hand. "Walk with me?" I took it, letting him lead me through the house to a set of French doors that opened onto a terrace overlooking the gardens. The night air was cool and crisp, carrying the scent of jasmine from somewhere below. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees, transforming the space into something magical. "It's beautiful," I breathed. "My mother designed these gardens," Dante said softly, standing behind me with his hands resting lightly on my shoulders. "Before she died. She said every home needed beauty to balance the darkness. I didn't know you lost your mother 10 years ago. Cancer." His voice was carefully neutral, but I heard the pain underneath. "She would have liked you, I think. Would have appreciated your strength." I turned to face him, and in the soft light, he looked younger, more vulnerable, almost human instead of the dangerous creature who commanded empires. "Tell me about your family," I said. "The real story, not Gabriella's edited version." He guided me to a bench, settling beside me close enough that our thighs touched. For a long moment, he just stared out at the gardens, gathering his thoughts. "My father was complicated," he finally said. "Powerful, respected, feared, but also cruel. Especially to my mother. He loved her, in his way. But love in our family has always been tangled up with possession and control. When she got sick, he spent millions trying to save her. But when she died anyway, something in him broke. He became reckless, paranoid, started making decisions that put the family at risk." "What happened?" "He was killed in a hit ordered by someone he thought was an ally. I was 25, just finishing my MBA at Oxford, planning to go legitimate. Instead, I came home to war." His jaw tightened. "It took me 2 years to stabilize everything, to eliminate the threats and consolidate power. By the time I was done, there was too much blood on my hands to ever go back to that life I'd planned." "Do you regret it?" "Sometimes." He looked at me then, and I saw old pain in his eyes. "But I'm good at this, at protecting my family, my people, at maintaining order in a world that would tear itself apart without someone strong enough to keep the peace." "Is that what you tell yourself? That you're keeping the peace?" "It's what I know." His hand found mine, threading our fingers together. "I'm not a good man, Emma. I've done terrible things. We'll probably do more before this is over. But I have a code, a line I won't cross. I protect what's mine. I honor my word. And I never ever hurt the innocent." "And me?" I asked quietly. "Which category do I fall into?" "You're mine. Simple. Absolute. Which means you're the most protected person in this city. No one will touch you. No one will hurt you. And anyone who tries will answer to me." The possessiveness should have frightened me. Instead, it made something in me settle, like a piece clicking into place. "I'm staying," I heard myself say. "Not just tonight, but I'm staying." His hand tightened on mine, his breath catching. "You mean that?" "I think so. Yes." I turned to face him fully. "I don't understand this. What's happening between us? It's too fast, too intense, too everything, but I don't want to go back to that life. And I want to see where this goes. Emma." He pulled me into his lap in one smooth motion, his arms wrapping around me like he was afraid I'd disappear. "You have no idea what you're agreeing to." "Then show me." I tilted my face up to his. "Show me what it means to be yours." The kiss was different this time, slower, deeper, full of dark promise. His hands roamed my body, learning my curves, mapping my responses. When his teeth caught my lower lip, I gasped, and he swallowed the sound, his grip tightening possessively. "Mine," he growled against my mouth. "Say it." "Yours," I breathed, and felt him shudder beneath me. He stood, lifting me with him, my legs wrapping around his waist instinctively. "I'm taking you to bed," he said, his voice rough with desire. "If that's not what you want, tell me now. Because once I have you there, I'm not stopping." My heart hammered against my ribs. This was crazy, reckless. I barely knew this man, but I'd never felt more alive. "Don't stop," I whispered. He carried me back through the house, up the stairs, past the guest suite to a set of double doors at the end of the hall. His bedroom was all dark wood and masculine lines, dominated by a massive bed that looked both comfortable and sinful. He set me down beside it, his hands framing my face as he kissed me again, slow and thorough, like he had all the time in the world to learn what made me melt. "I've wanted you since I saw you in that corridor," he murmured against my lips, looking so lost and broken and beautiful. "Wanted to wrap you up and keep you safe. Make you mine." His hands found the zipper of my dress, sliding it down with aching slowness. The fabric pooled at my feet, leaving me in just the lace underwear Teresa had provided. Dante stepped back, his gaze raking over me with an intensity that made me feel both exposed and worshipped. "Perfect," he breathed. "You're absolutely perfect." I reached for his shirt, but he caught my hands, bringing them to his lips. "Let me." he said softly. Let me take care of you. And he did. With hands and lips and whispered words in Italian I didn't understand, but felt in my bones. He worshipped every inch of my skin, learned every sound I made, took me apart, and put me back together until I was trembling and desperate and completely his. When he finally claimed me, sinking into me with a groan that sounded like prayer, I understood. This was what it meant to belong to someone. Not the prison I'd feared, but a freedom I'd never imagined. The freedom to be completely, utterly seen and still be wanted. Mine, he breathed against my neck as we moved together. Mine, mine, mine. Yours, I gasped, and meant it with every fiber of my being. Afterward, he held me against his chest, his heartbeat strong and steady beneath my ear. I traced the scars on his skin, evidence of a violent life, and felt no fear, just acceptance. No going back now, he murmured, pressing a kiss to my hair. You're mine, Emma, for as long as you'll have me. What if I want forever? The words slipped out before I could stop them. He tilted my face up to his, and what I saw in his eyes stole my breath. Love. Raw and new and absolutely terrifying. Then forever is what you'll get, he promised. I'll give you everything, Tesoro. The world if you want it. Just don't leave. I'm not going anywhere, I promised back. And as I drifted to sleep in the arms of a beautiful monster who'd claimed me as his own, I finally understood what it meant to be cherished. It meant being held like something precious, protected like something valuable, loved like something irreplaceable. It meant being his, and I'd never felt safer in my life. Morning came soft and golden, sunlight filtering through gauze curtains I didn't remember closing. I woke wrapped in warmth, expensive sheets, Dante's arm heavy across my waist, his breath steady against my neck. For a moment, I just lay there, cataloging the newness of it all. The weight of him beside me, the soreness in muscles I'd forgotten I had, the sense of rightness that settled in my chest like an anchor. You're thinking too loud. His voice was rough with sleep, sending shivers down my spine. I can hear you spiraling from here. I turned in his arms, finding him already watching me with those dark eyes that saw too much. I'm not spiraling. Liar. But he smiled, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Tell me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. That's what's scary. I traced patterns on his bare chest, following the lines of old scars. Yesterday morning, I was serving champagne at my ex's engagement party. Now I'm in bed with a man I barely know, in a house I've never seen before, agreeing to a life I don't understand. Shouldn't I be more conflicted about this? Do you want to be conflicted? His fingers trailed up and down my spine, lazy and possessive. Because I can arrange that. I'm very good at making things complicated. You know what I mean. I do. He rolled onto his back, pulling me with him so I was sprawled across his chest. You're wondering if this is real or just a rebound. If you're making another mistake. If I'm just a different version of Marcus. Are you? No. Simple. Absolute. Marcus was a leech who saw something vulnerable and took advantage. I see something precious and want to protect it. There's a difference, Emma. Protection that comes with control. Yes. He didn't deny it, his hand tangling in my hair. I won't lie to you about what I am. I'm possessive, jealous. I don't share, and I don't let go of what's mine. If that's not something you can live with, tell me now. I'll have someone drive you wherever you want to go, set you up with enough money to start over and walk away. The offer sounded genuine, but I felt the tension in his body, saw the flash of something desperate in his eyes. He didn't want me to leave, didn't want to let me go. And God help me, I didn't want to leave either. What about what I want? I asked quietly. Do I get a say in how this works? His expression shifted, becoming intent. What do you want, Emma? I thought about it. Really thought about it instead of just reacting. What did I want? Safety? Yes. Security. But also, I want to matter, I said finally. Not just as something you possess, but as someone you value. I want to finish my degree, do something meaningful with my life instead of just surviving it, and I hesitated, feeling vulnerable in a way that had nothing to do with physical nakedness. I want you to love me, Not just want me or protect me, but actually love me. Something fierce and tender crossed his face. I'm falling in love with you already, Tesoro. Have been since you took my hand in that ballroom. Maybe it's too soon to say that. Maybe it's crazy. But it's true. My breath caught. You barely know me. I know enough. He cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. I know you're strong and resilient and kind despite everything that's tried to break you. I know you give everything to people you care about, even when they don't deserve it. I know the way you look at me, like you're trying to decide if I'm a devil or a savior, and I know I want to be whatever you need me to be. What if I need you to be just Dante? Not the Don, not the protector, just the man underneath all of that? Then that's what I'll be. He rolled us over, bracing himself above me, his body pressing me into the mattress in a way that made my pulse race. When we're alone like this, I'm just yours. No business, no empire, no power plays. Just me, loving you the only way I know how. He kissed me then, slow and deep, and I felt the truth of his words in the way he touched me, reverent and desperate and absolutely focused on my pleasure. When he entered me again, it was different from the night before, slower, more intimate. His forehead pressed to mine, our breaths mingling, his eyes never leaving my face. I love you, he whispered as we moved together. I love you, Emma. Tell me you believe me. I believe you. I gasped, and felt something inside me crack open, spilling out 3 years of hurt and disappointment, and replacing it with something bright and terrifying and absolutely perfect. We spent the morning in bed, talking and touching and learning each other in the daylight. He told me about his mother's gardens, about his father's cruelty, about the weight of responsibility that came with his name. I told him about my childhood, about the parents who died when I was 18, about the dreams I'd abandoned to survive. We'll get you back in school, he said, trailing kisses down my shoulder. Whatever you want to study, wherever you want to go, I'll make it happen. Just like that? Just like that. He pulled back to look at me. I have money, Emma. More than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Let me use it to give you the life you deserve. I don't want to be a kept woman. Then work for me. I have legitimate businesses, hotels, restaurants, real estate. You could manage one, or start your own company. Whatever you want, it's yours. His fingers traced patterns on my hip. I'm not trying to cage you, Tesoro. I'm trying to give you wings. The only condition is that you let me watch you fly. It was everything I'd ever wanted but never thought to ask for. Freedom within protection. Support without suffocation. A partner, instead of a parasite. Okay, I whispered. Yes, to all of it. His smile could have powered the sun. Yeah? Yeah. I pulled him down for a kiss. But I have conditions too. Name them. I finish my degree. I work. Actually work. Not just pretend to while you support me. And we take this slow. The relationship part, I mean. I need time to trust this. To trust you. To trust myself. Done. He didn't even hesitate. Anything else? Teach me about your world. Not just the surface stuff, but the real details. If I'm going to be part of this, I want to understand it. All of it. He studied me for a long moment. Something like pride warming his expression. Most people want to know as little as possible. Plausible deniability. I'm not most people. No. He kissed me softly. You're definitely not. All right. But Emma, I'll teach you. Some of what you learn will be ugly. Violent. Are you sure you want that? I want the truth. Even the ugly parts. Then you'll have it. He glanced at the clock on the nightstand. Nearly noon. We should get up. I have meetings this afternoon I can't reschedule. And you need to eat something besides me. I blushed, remembering exactly what had happened an hour ago. Dante? Don't. He grinned, looking younger and almost carefree. I love that I can make you blush. It's adorable. We finally dragged ourselves from bed, showering together in a bathroom that was more spa than functional space. Dante was called away twice by phone calls he took in rapid Italian, his expression hardening back into the Don's mask each time. But when he looked at me, he softened again, became just the man who'd whispered love against my skin. Teresa had prepared lunch, a spread that could have fed 10 people but was apparently normal for the household. Gabriella showed up halfway through with shopping bags and a knowing smirk. "So," she said, helping herself to pasta. "I see you decided to stay. How could you possibly—" I started, then noticed the hickey on my neck reflected in the glass door. Oh, indeed." She grinned at Dante. "You work fast, Fratello." "Gabriella," he warned, but there was no heat in it. "What?" "I'm happy for you, both of you." She turned to me, her expression becoming serious. "But we need to talk. About what comes next." "What do you mean?" She exchanged a glance with Dante, who nodded slightly. "Word is spreading. About you. About Dante claiming you. Some people are going to see that as weakness. The big bad Don going soft over a woman. Others will see it as an opportunity." Fear crawled up my spine. "Opportunity for what?" "To hurt him through you," Dante said bluntly, his hand finding mine under the table. "It's why security is non-negotiable. Why you can't leave the property without guards. Why I need to know where you are at all times. For how long? Until everyone understands that touching you means war." His jaw tightened. "I'm making an example of Marcus, showing what happens to people who hurt you. But there will be others who test those boundaries, especially in the first few months." The reality of my situation crashed over me. This wasn't just about giving up independence or accepting protection. This was about becoming a target, a weapon that could be used against the man I was falling in love with. "Maybe I should leave," I said quietly. "Go somewhere far away until things settle." "No." Dante's response was immediate and absolute. "You're not leaving. We're not hiding. That would show weakness, and in my world, weakness is death." He turned my face toward his. "I know this is scary. I know it's not what you signed up for. But I will keep you safe, Emma. I swear it." "Ah, what if you can't?" The question came out small, frightened. "What if something happens to you because of me?" "Then it happens. But I'm not giving you up. Not for safety, not for strategy, not for anything." His voice was steel wrapped in velvet. "You're mine. That's not changing." Gabriella cleared her throat. "Which is why we're going shopping." I blinked at her. "What?" "Shopping. You need clothes, shoes, accessories. Everything. You can't keep wearing my old things." She stood, pulling me up with her. "Come on. We're taking the most dramatic security detail in the city and buying out every boutique downtown. It'll be fun." "I don't need—" "Yes, you do," Dante interrupted. "You need to look the part, Emma. Need to walk into rooms and have people know you belong there. Belong with me." He stood, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Let Gabriella dress you up. Consider it armor." "Expensive armor," Gabriella added cheerfully, "the best kind." 2 hours later, I found myself in the back of a heavily armored SUV, flanked by Gabriella and Marco, with 2 more vehicles full of guards preceding and following us. The city looked different from behind tinted windows. Still beautiful, but more distant, like I was watching a movie instead of living in the real world. "First stop, Valentino," Gabriella announced. "Then Prada, then, oh, there's this new designer I've been dying to try." The afternoon became a blur of boutiques and dressing rooms and more money than I'd ever seen spent on clothes. Gabriella was relentless, pulling dresses and shoes and jewelry with an expert eye, while Marco offered commentary that ranged from helpful to absurd. The guards maintained a perimeter, their presence enough to clear entire stores of other customers. "I feel like a doll," I muttered, stepping out of yet another dressing room in a red cocktail dress that probably cost more than I'd made in a month at any of my jobs. "A gorgeous doll," Marco corrected. "That dress is perfect for the charity gala next week. Dante will lose his mind." "There's a gala?" "Oh, honey," Gabriella laughed. "There's always a gala. Welcome to high society. It's boring and political and absolutely necessary." She studied me critically. "We'll get you an etiquette coach. Someone to teach you the rules, who matters, how to navigate conversations without revealing anything important." "This is insane," I breathed, looking at my reflection. The woman staring back looked confident, powerful, expensive. Nothing like the girl who'd served champagne 2 days ago. "This is your life now," Gabriella said gently. "Might as well embrace it." We were leaving the fifth boutique, bags being loaded into the SUV by guards, when everything went wrong. The first shot shattered the window beside my head. I heard Gabriella scream, felt someone tackle me to the ground. One of the guards, covering me with his body. More gunfire, screaming, the sound of tires squealing. Stay down. The guard's weight was crushing, but I couldn't breathe anyway, panic closing my throat. This was real. Someone was shooting at us, at me. The gunfire stopped as suddenly as it started, shouting in Italian, car doors slamming. Then Dante's voice, loud and furious and terrified. Emma. The guard lifted off me, and Dante was there, hauling me up and crushing me against his chest. His heart hammered against my ear, his hands running over me frantically, checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Emma, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm fine, I managed, though I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. Gabriella. I'm okay. She appeared beside us, pale but unhurt, Marco holding her hand. Just some glass cuts, nothing serious. Dante's arms tightened around me. When I looked up at his face, I saw something terrifying. Rage so pure and absolute, it seemed to burn. Get them home, he said to one of his guards. Full lockdown. No one in or out without my clearance. Where are you going? I asked, though I already knew, to send a message. He cupped my face, his touch gentle despite the violence in his eyes. Someone tried to hurt you, tried to hurt my sister. That doesn't go unanswered. Dante, please. Go home, Emma. I'll be back soon. He kissed me hard, claiming, then handed me off to another guard like he couldn't bear to let go, but had no choice. Keep her safe. I watched him disappear into one of the SUVs, speeding away toward whatever violence awaited. Gabriella pulled me toward our vehicle, and I let myself be guided, my mind numb with shock. The drive back was silent, except for Gabriella's quiet crying. Marco held her hand, his usual levity gone. When we pulled through the gates of Dante's estate, Teresa was waiting, her face drawn with worry. Miss Emma, Miss Gabriella, thank God. Come inside. Quickly now. The house that had felt like a sanctuary now felt like a prison. Beautiful, but trapped. Guards everywhere, checking windows, securing doors. Teresa cleaned Gabriella's cuts while I sat frozen on the couch, replaying those terrifying moments over and over. Someone had tried to kill me because of Dante, because I'd agreed to be his. Was this worth it? Was any amount of love or security or freedom worth living in constant fear? Hours passed. Gabriella and Marco eventually left after making me promise to call if I needed anything. Teresa tried to get me to eat, but food turned to ash in my mouth. I just sat in Dante's study, staring at nothing, waiting. It was past midnight when I heard the front door open. Footsteps in the hallway. His footsteps. I'd already learned to recognize them. Then he was there, standing in the doorway, looking exhausted and dangerous and stained with someone else's blood. It's handled, he said quietly. They won't try again. I stood, my legs shaky and crossed to him. Up close, I could see the cuts on his knuckles, the bruise forming on his jaw, the blood spattered across his shirt. Evidence of violence I couldn't begin to imagine. How many people did you kill tonight? I asked. He didn't flinch from the question. 3. The ones who organized it. Their boss sends his apologies and assurances it won't happen again. 3 people. Dead because of me. Because someone thought hurting me would hurt Dante. I can't do this, I whispered. I can't live like this, Dante. Always afraid. Always looking over my shoulder, knowing people die because I exist in your world. Pain flashed across his face, quickly hidden. I understand. Do you? Yes. He stepped back, putting distance between us, even though I could see how much it cost him. You're right, this isn't fair to you. I'll have someone pack your things, arrange transport wherever you want to go. You'll have money, security from a distance. You won't have to worry about... Stop. I closed the distance he'd created, grabbing his shirt. Stop talking. He fell silent, watching me with guarded eyes. I can't live like this, I repeated. But I can't live without you either. So I guess I'll have to learn to be brave, to trust your protection, to accept that loving you means living with danger, Emma, I'm not leaving, I said fiercely. Not because you claimed me, or because I have nowhere else to go, but because I choose you. Choose this, even when it's scary and violent and completely insane. Something broke in his expression, relief and love and gratitude all tangled together. He pulled me into his arms, burying his face in my hair. I love you, he breathed. God, Emma, I love you so much. I'll keep you safe. I swear it. I'll burn down this entire city before I let anyone hurt you. I know. I held him tighter, feeling him shake against me. I trust you. We stood like that for a long time, holding each other in the quiet study while the world spun on outside. Eventually, he pulled back, cupping my face. Marry me, he said. I blinked. What? Marry me? Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. Make it official. His eyes burned with intensity. Make it permanent. I want the world to know you're mine. Want everyone to understand that hurting you means declaring war on the Castellano family. Want you to have my name, my ring, my protection in every legal and traditional way possible. It was crazy. We'd known each other for 3 days. 3 days of intensity and violence and passion, but still. 3 days. Yes, I heard myself say. His smile could have lit the darkness. Yeah? Yeah. I laughed, feeling giddy and terrified and completely certain all at once. Let's do something completely insane and get married. Why not? Everything else about this is crazy. He kissed me then, deep and claiming, lifting me off my feet and spinning me around like I weighed nothing. When he set me down, we were both laughing, the tension of the day finally breaking. I'm going to make you so happy, he promised. Going to give you everything. The world, Emma. Anything you want. I just want you, I said honestly. Everything else is just bonus. The next weeks passed in a blur. True to his word, Dante enrolled me in classes, business administration, something I could actually use. He hired tutors to catch me up, set me up with an office in one of his hotels where I learned the legitimate side of his empire. Made it clear to everyone who mattered that I wasn't just his lover or his possession, but his partner, his equal. The wedding was small, private, in the garden his mother had designed. Just family and a few trusted friends. I wore a dress Gabriella helped me choose. Simple, elegant, perfect. Dante wore a suit that made him look like a dark prince, and when he slipped his grandmother's ring onto my finger, I felt something settle in my chest. This was real. This was forever. Marcus's money had been transferred within days of the shooting, along with a letter of apology so groveling it was almost embarrassing. I put the money toward school and never looked back. He was the past, a painful lesson learned. Dante was the future, complicated and dangerous and absolutely mine. 6 months later, I stood in the same study where he'd first claimed me, looking out at the gardens in full bloom. My hand rested on my still flat stomach, protecting the tiny life growing inside me. A baby. Ours. The thought terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. Dante's arms wrapped around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. Happy? He murmured. I thought about everything that had led me here. The heartbreak and humiliation, the terrifying moment when a dangerous stranger had seen me as precious. The choice to step into his world, to accept his protection, to love him despite, or maybe because of, everything he was. Terrifyingly so, I admitted. Good. His hand covered mine on my stomach, protective and possessive. That's how it should be. Terrifying and perfect and absolutely ours. I turned in his arms, looking up at the man who'd claimed me in a ballroom, kept me safe through violence, loved me with an intensity that still took my breath away. I love you, I said. Simple, true, complete. I love you, he answered. My Emma, my wife, my everything. And as he kissed me in the golden afternoon light, I knew I'd made the right choice. Marcus had thrown me away like I was nothing. But Dante had picked me up and shown me I was everything. Sometimes the greatest love stories started with the worst heartbreak. Sometimes saying she's mine was the beginning, not the end. Sometimes dangerous men made the safest harbors. And sometimes, just sometimes, being claimed was the same thing as being freed. I was his. And I'd never been more myself.